As in many parts of the country, the goal of racial integration in Boston schools has long been elusive and sometimes a point of contention. But a recent study from the Harvard Graduate School of Education shows considerable support for integration among parents in around the country, along with some resistance. To tell us about the study is one of the co-authors and a senior lecturer on education, Richard Weissbourd. Thank you very much for being with us.
It's great to be here.
Richard, we've been struggling here in Boston with this question for quite a while. Why do this study right now?
We did a study for a couple of reasons. One is that, we are very divided as a country. I mean, we're divided in all kinds of ways, many bitter, hostile divisions in the country right now, including divisions around race. And I don't think we're ever going to really learn to live together, have a thriving democracy, a high-functioning democracy, unless our kids go to school together and learn together. Thurgood Marshall said something like that: we can't learn to live together unless our kids learn together. So that was one reason. The other is, the courts, I'm not an expert, I'm not a lawyer, but, the courts have been disfavoring integration for some time. And certainly the Supreme Court at the moment is not likely to be very supportive of integration. So that means that if we're going to get to integrated schools and really thoughtfully integrated schools, I think it means that districts are going to have to step up, school districts are going to have to step up, and parents are going to have to step up, because I don't think it's going to happen through the courts these days.
Of course, one of the reasons for segregation is that parents make decisions about where to send their kids to school. No one's telling them what to do. But what about the minds of those parents? You focus mainly on, I guess, white parents who are wealthy enough to make some choices, I guess.
Yeah. So we did a national survey, and the survey is fairly representative of different groups of parents. But one of the things that we found, and this surprised me somewhat, is, a vast majority of parents support school integration, and they support it at high levels. I mean, they say they want their kids to go to schools that are 50% low income, 50% non-low income, 50% students of color, 50% white. That's true across race, class, culture, political affiliation, Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are less likely to want integrated schools for their kids, but a significant majority say they do want integrated schools for their kids. The puzzle is, when you look at what parents actually do when they have more choice, it looks like schools become more segregated, not less. That parents are making choices, often very well-meaning parents, but they're making choices that lead to more segregation. And that's really what we're trying to understand in the report, is why is that happening?
Now, is this about racial animus, or is this about parents looking at numbers and wanting the edge?
I think it's a great question. I think there are a number of different things going on. One is that parents are looking at things like average test scores, which are in a school, which are really much more of an indication of the demographic characteristics of the school than they are of the quality of the school. So they're sort of getting misinformation about school quality. I mean, that's one thing that I think is going on. I think there are some districts where there are not well-integrated schools that are really thoughtfully integrated. Another thing that it looks like is going on, this is not our research, this is other people's research, is that a lot of parents are making decisions based on white advantage parents, based on the number of other white advantage parents who are at school. So they tend to think that high percentages of white advantage parents is a proxy for them for school quality. And so they send their kids to those schools, and those schools become more white, and then more white, and on and on and on and on. Parents also, other research says advantage parents don't want their kids to be a minority in a school. But often they expect that children of color will be a minority in a school. So, someone has to be a minority in a school. So I think it's also this not wanting to be a minority school. The other thing we found in our data is we had parents rank the factors that are important to them in terms of school. And we had them rank 6 or 7 different factors. And school integration is important, but it comes in 6th or 7th. So, things like transportation, safety, certainly, school quality, discipline tend to come in higher than integration. So I think another thing that's going on here is that parents do want integration in principle, but the depth of their commitment to it is not great in many cases.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Richard Weissbourd from the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Richard, you mentioned that parents want this, racially and maybe even economically balanced kind of student body, but is there any place around the country where you can find that?
Well, I'm from Cambridge. My kids went to the Cambridge public schools. Cambridge has, by law, every kid has to go to a school that's at least 40% low-income kids. I think most of the schools, my kids are older now, but my sense is most of the schools are economically balanced and are racially fairly balanced. And that's not to say this is a perfect system by any means. There are problems in this system. But I think it's a good system. I mean, I think it works quite well. And my kids had an incredible experience in the Cambridge public schools. Strong experience academically, but also a strong experience socially, emotionally, and ethically. And I think a lot of kids have that experience.
Maybe if you can go back a bit, because you were involved in a school in Boston, Lee Academy in Dorchester. It seemed to me that was a school that was fairly attractive to a cross-section of people. I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating the appeal here, but what made that work as well as it did?
Well, I think that I'm a founder of the Lee Academy. I've not been involved the last 5 years or so. We founded the Lee Academy probably almost 20 years ago, or 15 or 20 years ago now. But we never really got to anywhere near 50-50. I mean, we had I think about 20% of our parents were white, and the rest of our parents were parents of color.
But Boston, that's pretty good.
I think that is pretty good. I'm not really in touch with Boston at the moment, but at the time it was pretty good. And I think part of it is we had a terrific preschool, and the reputation gets out that we have a terrific preschool, and parents are very sensitive to school quality, so they are significantly more willing to send their kid to a school if they think even if it means that they'll be a minority, if the quality of the school is good. So I think that's part of what goes on here. I mean, I don't want to be too hard on parents about these. These are very hard decisions, and you got to do what's best for your child. Mostly we're making the case that at the very least, do some research. Find out if the school is a really good school. Don't just look at the school's website. You're not going to be able to tell. Take a tour of the school. Talk to people. Talk to teachers at the school. Talk to people in the community who really know the school system, whether they're school council members or organizations that are involved with the schools, like the Boston Plan for Excellence, whatever. There are ways to find out about whether schools are high quality or not. And that if you do the digging, I think there are going to be many more schools on your map than are currently on your map. Many more schools you'll be willing to strongly consider.
I know you said you don't want to put too much of the onus on parents, but is there something that some other player here, whether it's the government or the business sector, can do to make this work better? I
think there's a lot, and I appreciate the question. I think parents are sensitive to school quality, and parents don't just want integration. They don't want integration in the sense of let's throw kids together in the same school and expect that magic will occur. They want thoughtful integration. They want schools that are not highly tracked, where parents, where kids are able to talk about race, where they're facilitated conversations about race and about the history of racism in this country. Where there's real attention and thought given to the quality of relationships across race. So that's one thing that I think districts can do, is this kind of thoughtful integration. All the work to improve quality helps. And I think districts should be doing much more public education. This is a really good place to spend resources. And public education, and I'm not singling out Boston here, this is across the country, that really lifts up the strengths of many different types of schools in a district. Because often it's clear, from our data, from other data, that parents don't know of high quality schools in their district.
Well, as you mentioned, you've got the report online. People can check that out somewhere?
Yes, they can at Making Caring Common, and the title is Do Parents Really Want School Integration?
Thank you very much for being with us.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Richard Weissbourd from Harvard University.